Billionaire visits her son's grave and finds a black waitress crying with a child. She was shocked. The light November rain had turned the whole cemetery into this super sad, gloomy vibe when Victoria Blackwood rolled up and saw something that straight up flipped her whole world. Right there in front of her son Adrienne's marble tomb, this young black woman rocking a waitress uniform was holding a little kid, both of them bawling like the world had ended for real. Victoria froze mid-step, her gloved hands gripping the bouquet of white lilies so tight. At 55, the badass boss lady running the Blackwood Industries empire had never seen these two people in her life. But something about the way the woman stood and the kid's delicate little features made her heart start pounding out of nowhere. "Excuse me," Victoria said, her voice slicing through the quiet cemetery like a damn blade. "This is a private moment. Y'all in the wrong spot." The young woman lifted her head, eyes all red and puffy from crying. "I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was coming today." Her voice was shaking, but there was this quiet strength in it that Victoria wasn't expecting at all. "Who are you?" Victoria asked, that cold business mode kicking in hard. "And why the hell are you crying at my son's grave?" The kid, a little boy maybe 4 years old, looked up at Victoria with these bright green eyes. Eyes she knew way too damn well. Eyes she'd seen staring back in the mirror her whole life. Eyes exactly like Adrienne's. "My name is Jasmine Washington," the young woman said, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "And this is Tyler. I work at Bell's Diner in town. I come here every month because," she hesitated, glancing down at the kid, "because Adrienne was important to us." Victoria felt the whole damn world tilt. Adrienne had died 3 years ago in that car crash at 28, taking every single dream she had for the Blackwood name right along with him. She dug into every corner of his life after the funeral, desperate for some kind of meaning in the pain. Never found a single hint of anything serious, let alone a kid. "Important how?" Victoria asked, her voice dropping low and dangerous. The rain started coming down harder, but none of them budged. Jasmine looked straight into Victoria's eyes with this crazy courage that actually caught the billionaire off guard. "Because Tyler is his son, and because I promised Adrienne I'd always take care of him no matter what." The bouquet slipped right out of Victoria's hands, lilies scattering all over the cold stone of the grave. 3 years. 3 whole years she'd been grieving Adrienne, convinced her bloodline died with him. 3 years to find out now she had a grandson, a black grandson, being raised by a waitress, living a life she couldn't even picture. But there was something in Jasmine's eyes that didn't add up with the simple story she was telling. A little caution, some hidden fear, like she was holding back secrets way bigger than just Tyler existing. What Victoria didn't know yet was that this bombshell was only the first loose thread in a crazy web of lies and betrayals that went straight to people super close to her, and that Jasmine's soft-looking vulnerability actually hid a strength that was about to rock the foundations of Victoria's fancy rich world. If this story of family secrets and buried truths got to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see how one random cemetery moment turned into the wildest twist in the life of one of the most powerful women in the country. 2 weeks after that cemetery run-in, Victoria had turned her private library into straight-up war room. Private investigator reports were spread all over the century-old mahogany table, every page dropping details about Jasmine Washington's life that had her more and more messed up. Single, no known family. Works 60 hours a week at 2 jobs just to keep her kid fed, Victoria muttered, flipping through the papers. Lives in a 1-bedroom apartment on the rough side of town. No college, barely finished high school. Her personal assistant, David Chun, stood quietly next to the armchair. He'd watched Victoria crush entire companies with less emotion than she was showing right now. "What about the kid's mother?" Victoria asked, her icy blue eyes locked on a blurry photo of Tyler playing at some public playground. "Here's where it gets wild," David said, opening a separate folder. "We couldn't find a birth certificate, hospital records, nothing official about who actually gave birth to Tyler. It's like the biological mom just doesn't exist." Victoria tapped her fingers on the table. Habit all her execs knew meant someone was about to get wrecked. 3 years back when Adrienne died, she'd torn apart every second of his life hunting for answers, for clues, for anything to make the loss make sense. Never found proof of any real relationships. "Schedule a meeting with this. Jasmine," Victoria said, saying the name like it tasted weird. In my office. Tomorrow at 2. Next day, Jasmine showed up at Blackwood Industries HQ in her best, and only, suit she'd bought secondhand. That 60-story glass monster basically dared her to walk in, reflecting a warped version of herself back at her. Victoria welcomed her into the top-floor office with those huge windows showing off the whole city. Power move, and they both knew it. Sit down, Victoria said, pointing at a chair she'd made sure was lower than hers. I'd rather stand. Thank you, Jasmine said. Suit yourself. Victoria opened a folder on the desk. I've looked into you, Miss Washington. 2 jobs, no savings, living in conditions unsuitable for a child. Tyler is well cared for and loved, Jasmine answered, calm but solid. Victoria gave that smile that never touched her eyes. I'm sure you do your best. But a Blackwood child deserves way more than your best. He deserves the absolute best money can buy. And what exactly are you suggesting? $200,000, Victoria said, sliding a check across the desk. To start, Tyler comes live with me, gets the education he deserves. The future Adrian would have wanted for him. You can visit on weekends, of course. Jasmine stared at the check like it was venom. Are you seriously trying to buy my son? He's not your son, Victoria snapped, the polite mask cracking. He's my grandson. Blood of my blood. And honestly, a waitress in her 20s can't give him what a family like ours can. Family. Jasmine actually laughed, but there was zero humor in it. Victoria. May I call you Victoria? You want to talk about family? Tyler's been calling me mom for 3 years. I'm up with him at 3 a.m. when he has nightmares. I teach him math at the kitchen table. I read him bedtime stories. That's family. Victoria stood up, towering over her. Noble words, but reality is brutal. You work yourself to death just to pay rent that probably eats half your paycheck. Tyler deserves private schools, trips around the world, doors you can't even open for him. And he deserves unconditional love, Jasmine shot back. Something you clearly never gave your own son. The silence after that hit like a slap. Victoria felt it sting. How dare you, she hissed. Adrian told me about you. Jasmine kept going, voice low and sharp. About the missed meetings, the football games you never showed up to, the birthdays where you just sent expensive gifts through your assistants. You want Tyler because he's a second chance to fix your guilt, not because you actually care about him. Victoria's fists clenched. You don't know me. No, but I knew your son. And I know exactly why he never told you about Tyler. Jasmine picked up the check, ripped it clean in half, and let the pieces flutter to the floor like dead flowers. Tyler isn't for sale. Then we'll do this the hard way, Victoria said, voice turning ice cold and dangerous. I've got resources you can't even dream of. Lawyers, investigators, connections at every level of government. I can prove a single mom with no degree living in poverty isn't in the best interest of the child. Jasmine smiled, first time since walking in, and something in that smile actually made Victoria pause. Victoria, she said softly, you're assuming I'm just some broke waitress you can bully. But there are things about me, about Tyler, about Adrian you still haven't figured out. And when you do, she paused, eyes flashing with this fierce determination that threw the billionaire off. Well, let's just say your investigators aren't as good as you think they are. She walked to the door, stopped, looked back over her shoulder. And Victoria? Next time you want to talk about Tyler, it'll be on my terms. Not yours. After Jasmine left, Victoria stood alone in that huge office, torn check pieces still on the floor. For the first time in decades, somebody had walked out of a negotiation holding all the power. What Victoria couldn't wrap her head around was why a simple waitress had that kind of rock-solid confidence. It was like Jasmine had something up her sleeve, some secret that made all Victoria's threats and money feel useless. Even worse, for the first time ever, Victoria Blackwood felt like someone was watching her, studying her, seeing straight through every wall she'd built, and wasn't impressed at all with what they saw. 3 days after that office showdown, Victoria got a call that hit her like a truck. Her top attorney, Richard Thornton from the big shot Thornton and Associates, actually sounded nervous, something she hadn't heard in their 20 years together. Victoria, I need to tell you something about the custody case, he said, voice tight. I got a call today from Miss Washington's legal representation. She's got a lawyer. Victoria laughed, drumming her fingers. With what money? Gotta be some overworked public defender. Actually, Richard paused. It's Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce. They're representing her pro bono. Victoria almost dropped her coffee. Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce was one of the 3 biggest law firms in the whole country, specialists in civil rights cases, famous for never losing the big ones. That's impossible. Why the hell would they care about some random waitress? I don't know. But there's more. They've already filed a preemptive petition saying any attempt to take the child by force would be legal kidnapping based on socioeconomic discrimination. Victoria slammed the phone down so hard the receiver cracked. Jasmine had just played her first real card, and it was way stronger than Victoria ever imagined. Meanwhile, back in Jasmine's tiny apartment, a whole different meeting was going down. The room was packed with people Victoria would never in a million years expect to see there. Dr. Michael Chun, law professor at Columbia. Investigative journalist Amanda Torres, the one famous for exposing corporate dirt. And right in the middle, this elegant woman in her 50s who Jasmine hugged like family. Aunt Helen, thank you for coming, Jasmine said, squeezing her tight. I know the flight from Chicago was long. Helen Washington smiled, those sharp eyes sparkling with the same fire Jasmine had flashed in Victoria's office. Child, when you called and said the time had finally come, I canceled everything. We've been waiting for this moment for 3 years. Tyler was playing on the floor, totally clueless about how huge this conversation was. Dr. Chun opened a thick folder stuffed with papers and photos. Jasmine, are you sure you want to do this? Once we start, there's no going back. Victoria Blackwood has endless resources, and she won't hold back. Dr. Chun, Jasmine said, calm and steady. I've been getting ready for this for 3 years. Every night class, every law book, every connection I built. It's all been to protect Tyler and keep Adrienne's memory right. Amanda looked up from her laptop. The evidence you've pulled together is insane, Jasmine. 3 years of careful records on Blackwood Industries' shady deals, bribes to local politicians, straight-up labor violations, the works. Helen walked to the window, staring out at the basic view. Victoria thinks her money makes her untouchable. She has no clue my niece has spent the last 3 years watching her every move, every dirty deal, every tax dodge. Aunt Helen taught business law at the University of Chicago for 30 years, Jasmine explained to Dr. Chun. She's the one who drilled into me that knowledge is the only weapon they can't buy or steal. Jasmine's phone rang. Victoria, obviously pissed. What game are you playing? Victoria yelled through the speaker. Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce. How does a waitress pull lawyers like that? Jasmine put it on speaker so everyone could hear. Victoria, I told you there were things about me you hadn't discovered yet. I don't care what tricks you're pulling. Tyler is my grandson, and I've got unlimited resources to get what I want. Unlimited resources. Jasmine smiled, glancing at her crew. Victoria, you're thinking money is the only power that matters. But what if I told you there's something way stronger? And what would that be? The truth. Victoria laughed, but it sounded forced. Truth doesn't pay for fancy lawyers. You're right, Jasmine said. But the truth about your illegal business moves, about how you built that empire with fake contracts and straight-up bribery, that truth is worth way more than money to the right people. Dead silence on the other end. You're bluffing, Victoria finally said, but all the confidence was gone. Amanda Torres from the Metropolitan would like to speak with you, Jasmine said, passing the phone to the reporter. Good afternoon, Miss Blackwood, Amanda said, all professional. I'm wrapping up an investigative series on questionable corporate practices. I'd like to give you a chance to comment on the allegations we've documented. Victoria hung up instantly. Helen smiled, proud as hell. Jasmine, you learn good. Never attack straight on when you can come from the side. Dr. Chun closed his briefcase. The legal plan is rock solid. We've got precedents where trying to take kids just because of money issues gets called discriminatory. And I've got 3 years of dirt on every shady thing Victoria's ever done. Amanda chimed in. Contracts with shell companies, shady payments to public officials, covered up environmental violations, enough dirt to wreck anybody's rep. Jasmine scooped up Tyler, the little dude grinning innocently at all the grown-ups around him. What Victoria doesn't get is that I'm not just fighting for Tyler. I'm fighting a whole damn system that thinks money buys everything, including the right to wreck families. Helen walked over and put her hand on Jasmine's shoulder. Your mother would be so proud of you, baby girl. She always said education was the only inheritance nobody could ever snatch away from you. Aunt Helen raised me after my parents passed. Jasmine explained to everybody else. She taught me it ain't about where you come from. It's about where you're headed. And she taught me that sometimes, to protect what you love, you gotta be ready to go to war. The phone rang again. This time it was Victoria's lawyer. Miss Washington, my client would like to propose a settlement. $500,000 and supervised visits. Jasmine glanced at her crew, every single one of them shaking their heads no. Mr. Thornton, tell your client Tyler ain't for sale at any price. And tell her she's got 48 hours to drop every legal threat against our family, or else. Come Monday morning, the Metropolitan Journal is dropping a full series on the shady-ass business practices of Blackwood Industries. And I'm pretty damn sure the IRS is going to be real interested in some of the papers we've got. She hung up. Amanda grinned. Jasmine, you ready for this? Once we hit publish, Victoria's going to throw everything she's got at you. Jasmine looked down at Tyler, who was now knocked out in her arms. Amanda, I've lived 3 years knowing this day was coming. Victoria thinks her cash makes her untouchable, but she's never gone up against somebody who's had time to get ready for real. Dr. Chun stood up, grabbing his papers. The legal petition gets filed tomorrow. The precedents are straight up on our side. Helen kissed Jasmine's forehead. Remember, baby girl, they might have the money, but we got the truth. That night, while Tyler slept, Jasmine popped open a trunk in her room. Inside were her night school law diplomas, management program certificates, recommendation letters from big-name professors, and right at the bottom, a photo of her with Adrian and a light-skinned young woman. The picture Victoria had never laid eyes on. The one that explained exactly who Tyler's mom really was, and why Jasmine had prepped for this showdown like it was her life's mission. Victoria Blackwood was about to learn the hard way that underestimating somebody can be the most expensive mistake you ever make. And sometimes the sweetest payback ain't through force. It's through patience, straight-up preparation, and dropping truth bombs at the perfect damn moment that some folks would kill to keep buried. What Victoria still didn't know was that the custody fight for Tyler was just the opening move in a way bigger game. A game Jasmine had been plotting since the day Adrian died. And it was about to blow open secrets that could torch not just Victoria's rep, but the whole crooked empire she built on lies. Monday morning, Victoria woke up to 37 missed calls blowing up her phone. Her assistant David was posted outside her bedroom door holding a tablet, looking like he'd seen a ghost, real fear in his eyes. Victoria, you need to see this, he said, hands shaking as he passed it over. The Metropolitan headline took up the whole screen. Empire built on corruption. Leaked docs exposed decades of crimes at Blackwood Industries. Victoria's legs almost gave out. Scanned pages everywhere, fraudulent contracts, illegal payoffs to politicians, money laundering schemes. Every sheet was a straight-up kill shot to her name. How the hell did they get this? She whispered, scrolling. Secret meeting photos she swore nobody ever took. Recordings of conversations that were supposed to stay private. Her phone rang. Richard Thornton, her lawyer. Victoria, it's a total disaster, he said flat out. IRS already dropped search warrants. FBI's headed to your house right now. And it gets worse. The SEC just halted all trading of Blackwood stock. She hung up and speed-dialed Jasmine, hands shaking with pure rage and panic. You, she screamed when Jasmine picked up. You did this? How dare you ruin my life? Good morning, Victoria, Jasmine answered, cool as a lazy Sunday. Guess you caught the news. I'll destroy you. I'll use every resource I have. What resources? Jasmine cut in softly. From what I'm seeing in the headlines, your accounts got frozen like 15 minutes ago. Victoria ran to her computer, fingers flying, passwords, login after login. Access denied. Access denied. Access denied. This is impossible, she muttered. Victoria, there's something my investigators didn't even mention. Jasmine kept going. Amanda Torres don't roll solo. She's got a whole squad that specializes in financial crimes. Every shady document you signed the last 20 years. Tracked. The living room TV showed reporters camped outside Blackwood Industries HQ. Employees walking out carrying boxes. Careers torched in one morning. The name she spent decades building getting dragged live on national TV. Why? Victoria asked, voice cracking. Why do this to me? Because you never once asked who Tyler's mother was. Jasmine said plain and simple. If you had, you'd know her name was Jessica Blackwood. Victoria went ice cold. That's impossible. Jessica was Robert Blackwood's daughter, your cousin. The same cousin you screwed over in '95 to steal his piece of the family business. The memories hit hard. Robert, young and cocky, signing papers Victoria had secretly changed. The family war she won with straight lies. Him getting kicked out. Jessica grew up broke because of what you did, Jasmine continued. She met Adrian in college. They fell in love, but she was scared to tell him who she really was. Knew you'd cut her out just like you did her dad. Victoria barely remembered Robert mentioning a daughter before he vanished. When Jessica died, giving birth, Adrian came to me freaking out. I was her best friend. He knew Jessica wanted me to raise Tyler. But Adrian also dug up what you did to Jessica's family. Adrian knew, Victoria whispered. He spent his last months investigating you, Victoria, collecting proof of your crimes. When he died in that accident, he left everything to me. Documents, recordings, evidence. Told me to wait for the right time. Victoria stared out the window, FBI vans rolling up. The accident, she started. It wasn't an accident, Jasmine said calm as hell. Adrian uncovered a money laundering play with some dangerous people. People you paid to handle problems. They killed your own son, Victoria. The truth slammed her like a bullet. Adrian died because he found out her crimes. She'd gotten her own kid murdered through her greed. Tyler is the last legit Blackwood, Jasmine went on. Jessica was the rightful heir to the fortune you stole. Now with your accounts locked and your company getting seized, Tyler's finally getting what's always been his. Victoria heard boots stomping up the stairs. Voices yelling, FBI. You planned this for 3 years, Victoria whispered, finally getting how deep it went. Adrian taught me patience is the real key to revenge, Jasmine replied. Every file I grabbed, every class I took, every connection I built, all for this exact moment. The door flew open. Agents stormed in with warrants. Victoria Blackwood, you're under arrest for tax fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. As the cuffs clicked on, Victoria heard Jasmine one last time. Tyler will grow up knowing the truth about his family. He'll know justice. When it's slow, still shows up. Cameras caught Victoria getting walked out in cuffs. Her downfall live on every channel. That afternoon, Jasmine sat in the park with Tyler, watching him tear around the playground. Phone rang. Helen. Baby girl, I saw the news. How you holding up? Like Adrian can finally rest in peace, Jasmine said, smiling as Tyler laughed, sliding down. And Tyler's gonna grow up knowing his family fought for justice, not revenge. What Victoria figured out way too late. Jasmine wasn't just some determined waitress. She was the keeper of a stolen legacy. A woman who turned 3 years of quiet grinding into the cleanest, coldest delivery of justice the courts ever saw. 2 years later, Millbrook Women's State Prison was a far cry from Victoria's old penthouse office. Orange jumpsuit, folding laundry for $2.50 an hour. The irony wasn't lost on anybody. Blackwood, visitor, the guard called. Victoria figured it was her old lawyer or some reporter. Instead, Jasmine walked in, sharp navy suit that cost more than Victoria made in half a year. I came with news, Jasmine said, all confidence. Tyler just got accepted to Phillips Academy, the same school Adrian went to. Full ride. Victoria felt a tiny sting that might have been pride. Why tell me? Because you're his grandma, and because Tyler asked me if bad people can turn good. Jasmine paused. I told him it depends on whether they really want to change. She opened a folder, pics of Tyler beaming in his school uniform. He's learning violin just like his dad. Teacher says he's a natural. How can you even afford all that? Jasmine smiled, pure satisfaction. The fortune you stole from Jessica's side? Courts gave it back. Tyler's now heir to the whole legit Blackwood estate. Ironic, right? Victoria shut her eyes. And you? What did you get out of it? I gotta give Tyler what you never gave Adrian. A family that puts love over money. Jasmine stood. And the peace of knowing Jessica and Adrian can finally rest. Is he happy? He's loved, Jasmine said. And that's all that ever mattered. Meanwhile, Tyler ran through the yard of their new Connecticut spot, cozy house by the lake. Jasmine watched from the porch, her framed MBA degree hanging behind her. Mom, can I play violin for you? Tyler yelled, sprinting over. Of course, my love, Jasmine called back, thinking how proud Adrian would be. Helen came by regular, sharing family stories Tyler carried with pride. And Helen taught me the best revenge ain't destroying your enemies. It's building something so beautiful they regret not being part of it. Tyler would grow up knowing his family fought for dignity, not revenge. That even when the world feels unfair, there's always a smart way to flip the script. Victoria tried to buy a grandson. She learned family can't be bought. It's built with love and showing up. She lost everything because she mixed up power with worth, cash with dignity. Jasmine's real win wasn't destroying Victoria. It was building a future where Tyler would never repeat the old generation's mistakes. Where a kid grows up knowing identity ain't about skin color or bank balance. It's about character. Victoria tried to use money to steal Tyler. She found out real love don't have a price tag. Jasmine proved persistence and brains always beat arrogance and prejudice. Have you ever had somebody try to clown your dreams just because of where you came from? Drop a comment about how you handled it, and subscribe for more stories that show real family gets built with love, not cash.